Hey guys, how are you doing today? This is Julio and today we're going to do analysis drills. Let's go! So the first one we're going to do here is 1 over 0.2, and the quick cool way to do this, in my opinion, is knowing by heart. So I know that 1 divided by 20% is always 5. Another way to do this is 20% is 1/5, and you always know that 100 divided by 5 is 20, so, well, this is going to come naturally. Another way to do this that's not so simple, but might help, and it's going to be especially helpful in other ways, in other moments, is thinking in blocks of 0.2. So, how many blocks of 0.2 you can fit in one? Well, one is made out of 5 blocks of 0.2. So it's 1/5. 0.2 is 1/5. Alright? And let's move on to the next one. Oh, it should be bigger. Okay, so now we're going to do 1 over 0.3. 1 over 0.3 is, well, we should know by heart that it's 3.33. But the other way that we can do that is kind of thinking in little boxes of 0.3 in size. So, well, we can fit 3 in there, and so it's going to be 3 plus 0.1 over 0.3, which is a third. So it's 3 plus 0.33. We're going to get to 3.33. Okay? Let's move on to the next one. 1 over 0.4. No, we can also think in little boxes inside 0.4. So this is a box 0.4. And we're looking at 3 of them. This is a 1. This is 2.5 boxes of 0.4. It works for me. Might not work for some of you. Another way to do this is thinking of this as 1 over 0.2 times 1 over 2, or half of 5, which is 2.5. Okay, let's move on to the next one. 1 over 0.5 is 2. Come on, you gotta know that. 1 over 0.6. One way to do this. 1 over 0.3 times 1 over 2. Another way to do this. Little boxes of 0.2. And we're gonna get to 5 over 3, 5/3. We can also look at this as 1 plus 0.4 over 0.6, because we're dividing 1 into 0.6 plus 0.4. So 0.6 plus 0.4 over 0.6. And this is clearly 2/3. So 1 plus 67%, or 1.67. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Now let's take a look at 1 over 0.7. Well, I tend to know this by heart. 1 over 0.7 is 1.42. So if I'm dividing anything by 0.7, what I actually want to do is add 42% of x, or whatever it is. Know this one by heart, it's important. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Now let's take a look at 0.8. 1 over 0.8. Well, let's go back to little blocks of 0.2. Okay, of course, we have here 5/4. 1/4 is 25%, so we have 1.25. Are there other ways to look at this? Yeah, a little bit. They are all kind of the same, but we can look at it as 0.8 plus 0.2 over 0.8 8, which is 1 plus 0.2 over 0.8, which is clearly 1/4. So this leaves us with 0.25 again. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Think about it. Okay, now 0.1 over 0.9. Well, first of all, know it by heart. 1.11. Second of all, a way to get to it, because you're gonna forget this. We can look at this as 0.9 plus 0.1 over 0.9. So this is 1 plus 0.1 over 0.9. If this came to this, then this will obviously come to 1 plus 0.1 plus 0.01 over 0.9. And in the same way this happened, it'll happen again and again and again. So we're going to get to 1.11. Okay? Now let's move on to the next one. One over 1.1. You should know this by heart. After this drill, I'll expect you to know this by heart. But well, by now you don't need to, and the way we're gonna get to this is that is close to 90%. Okay, this is clear. Now, is it above 90% or is it under 90%? Well, I know that it is above 90% because 0.1, this is 1.1 minus 0.1 over 1.1, and 90% is 1 minus 0.1 over 1. And 0.1 is more representative on 1 than on 0.1. It's larger. So 1 over 1.1 is larger than 90%. Okay? And now the actual value to this is 91.91%. This means it's very close to 92%. Most people will round this to 90%, but you can round it to 92% if you want to be more precise, and it's definitely going to be a good impression. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, 1 over 1.2. Obviously, this is 1 over 0.6 times 1 over 2. This is also 5 over 6, or if you think in boxes of sixths, or 1 over 6. And this is pretty close. It's the same as 1 minus 1/6. And we know already that 1/6 is 1.6, is actually 16.7%. So we'll subtract 100% from that, and we're gonna get to 83.3%. Okay, and now if we look at it this way, what we're gonna get to is 1.67 divided by 2, which is 3.5%. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Here, 1 over 1.3, that's quite simple. Know it by heart. 1 over 1.3 is 77%. I almost always round it down to 75%. It's much easier to use. Okay, moving on to the next one. 1 over 1.4. I guess you're gonna know that I'm gonna do this. 1 over 0.7 times 1 over 2. And that's basically all I want to do, except knowing it by heart. You don't actually have to. And this brings us to 1.42 divided by 2, which is 0.71. Okay? Next one. Here we go. 1 over 1.5, 2/3, 0.67 or 67%. Okay? Next. Okay, you can think of it in boxes, little blocks of 0.5. But, well, it doesn't matter. That's quite easy one. 1 over 1.6. First way of doing this. 1 over 0.8 times 1 over 2 brings us to 1.25 over 2, 0.6125. Okay? Which is close to 61%. Okay? Next one. One over 1.7. I hope you remember well that 1 over 0.6 is 1.67. That's quite close to 1.7. I hope you also remember well that 1.3 squared is 1.69. We didn't actually look at that, but you should know. Knowing this, you should know that 1 over 1.7 is quite close to 1 over 1.3 squared, which is 77% squared, which is a little bit hard unless you round it down to 75% squared. That makes it easier. Not that easy, but still makes it easier. There are easy ways to do this, okay? Let's take a look at them. You can do this by proxy. I like it better. We've seen that 1 over 1.6 is 61.25%, and that is larger than 1 over 1.7, which is larger than 1 over 1.8, which seems easy to do. I want to do it here quickly to you. 1 over 0.9 times 1 over 2, which is 1.11 over 2, 5.55. Okay, so 0.55. So it's going to be somewhere between 61 and 55. I'm going to go with 59%. And you should know by heart that 1 over 1.7 is actually quite close to 59%. Okay, let's move on. We've looked at this one. This is 55%. Our last drill is 1 over 1.9. Well, 1.9 is a large enough number that we can proxy this to whatever we're dividing by. Well, when we're dividing x by y minus 5%, we're going to say this is close enough to x plus 5% divided by y. So I'm going to go with, I'm going to call this 1 over 2 minus 5% of 2, which is similar to 1 plus 5% of 1 over 2. So this is 1.05 over 2, 0.525. Okay? If you want to know this by heart, you don't actually have to. I don't think it's going to help you at all. It's 0.526. Alright? I hope this helped you guys. See you in the next one.